Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 Beer Plan. I'm Brian, and this is the ongoing saga of an everyman's ale trail. In this episode, I roll up on a new high for beer, mash in on my latest project, close the door on my chat with Jen Dan Hain from Fetch Brewing, and review a couple of fetching pale ales. In this segment of Tales from the Trail, it's time for a case of the beer munchies. One of the first spring memories during my freshman year at the University of Michigan was walking across the Diag on April 1st, encountering something called the hash bash and hitting a literal wall of smoke. For those familiar, this is the annual gathering to celebrate marijuana and reforming laws surrounding the issue. 2024 was the 53rd annual gathering. Okay. So you may be saying to yourself, Everyman, why are we talking about pot on a beer podcast? Well, my righteous dude or dudette, chill out. I'm just flying high again on yet another beer trend. This episode is all about beer and brewing with Mary Jane. These two items have gone hand in hand ever since hops were first used in beer. You see, humulus, or hops, and cannabis are both part of the same family tree. In blunt terms, cannabis and hops are cousins, both sharing a key ingredient called terpenes. I can't take credit for that little gem. Thanks, Lagunitas. So when someone is drinking a beer, typically an IPA, and refers to it as dank, this is a nod to that familial lineage. The term dank, first coined in 1300s Middle English, has come to refer to high-quality marijuana and likely influenced by the fact that marijuana can be pungent and moist. Hops can also evoke that same kind of vibe. According to one of my favorite sites for hop varietals, beermaverick.com, hops that are classified as dank are the following: African Queen, Amarillo, Apollo, Bergamot, Chinook, Columbus, CTZ, Eureka, Galaxy, Lawton, Mackenzie, Paradigm, Southern Sublime, Sticky Fingers Blend, Strata, Summit, Tropica, and Xenia. That's quite a list. Now that pot is legalized in a number of different states for medicinal use here in the United States, the embrace of the kissing cousins of pot and hops is stronger than ever. Just as a state license is required by commercial breweries to brew and sell beer, they also must get permits and licenses from the Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, also known as the TTB, to add anything other than hops and malt to their beer. The TTB has maintained for years that adding CBD or THC to beer is not safe. By creatively taking advantage of the loophole, non-alcoholic or low-alcohol beer do allow for the use of these substances in the manufacture of beer. So what are CBD and THC, you might ask? Online source, thebeerexchange.io, notes the following from a February 2023 article. They are both cannabinoids with different effects on the body. THC has a mental or psychoactive effect and gives you a high. CBD, on the other hand, does not give you a high, but has more of a relaxing effect as it reduces conditions such as anxiety. Hence, in a way, the effect of THC and CBD balance each other out. Since THC is already a psychoactive substance, beers infused with it have little to no alcohol in them. But there's a leniency with CBD-infused beers in terms of alcohol. They can have a higher ABV because CBD doesn't affect the brain like THC does. Cool. Furthermore, the Beer Exchange goes on to rank the best cannabis-infused beers on the market. Here are a few of them. Saria's Indie Wave Dealcoholized IPA has a citrus flavor and contains 10 milligrams of CBD and 10 milligrams of THC for every 12-ounce can. Saria's Grainwave Belgian-inspired white ale is alcohol-free and contains 5 milligrams of THC, giving you a high that will last a few hours. Adding blood orange peels gives the drink a fruity smell and a citrusy taste. Two Roots Brewing has a line of non-alcoholic beers infused with up to 10 milligrams of THC for every can and uses microdosing technology for a better drinking experience. The microdose or microemulsion technology makes the THC particles really small so that they get absorbed into the body faster and continuously. Coalition Brewing Company's Two Flowers IPA is CBD infused rather than THC infused. This means that it won't give you a high, but it will make you more relaxed and calm, giving you a pleasurable, lighthearted, and elevating drinking experience. Hop and Hemp Easy Times IPA is a low-alcohol, hoppy IPA with 0.5% ABV and infused with 8 milligrams of CBD for every bottle, and has amazing aromas of pineapple and grapefruit. A few other well-known breweries that brew beers in this style are New Belgium with its Hemperor Hempier, Flying Dog's Hop Chronic THC-infused IPA, and Lagunitas Hi-Fi Hops Cannabis-infused hoppy sparkling water. Even seltzers and craft sodas have gotten onto the bandwagon. I think you get the idea. Some breweries, like Hoosier Brewing in Greenwood, Indiana, have taken a different tact and have a fruited sour series called Roll the Fruit that is inspired by popular cannabis strains and adapting their fruity essence into the beer. With a label sporting a Rastafarian holding a can of beer with smoke emanating from it, and names like Purple Punch, Alien Cookies, and Mango Kush to name a few, what's not to like? Things are tough all over in the industry. Is this just another one of those nice dreams of yet another craft beer trend that will go up in smoke, or remain still smoking? I guess only time will tell. Big thanks to Knights for suggesting this episode's topic. In this segment of Homebrew Hijinks, it's time to mash in. So to recap, Hops for Hawaii was going to be my take on the Kokua Session IPA. This was a beer recipe that Maui Brewing made available to the brewing community at large to raise money for recovery efforts related to the Maui fires of 2023. So the challenge I had after reviewing the recipe was how I was going to execute this beer in order to pay homage and do my part. For the grain bill, I used 94% two-row malt and 6% pale malt. Since I'm using the brew-in-the-bag method, I also added an ounce of rice hulls to be sure that the grain would not clump up during the mash. I started with 2 quarts of water and brought it up to a strike temperature of 155 degrees Fahrenheit. I then mashed in for 40 minutes at 144 degrees Fahrenheit. I covered my stock pot and then used my oven method to maintain the heat for the entirety of the mash. According to Maui Brewing's head brewer James Newman, the Kokua recipe uses a continuous sparge to slowly bring the temperature up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit. Since my setup does not have that luxury, I merely did a fly sparge, pouring 2 cups of water at 168 degrees Fahrenheit over the grain bag suspended on my colander accessory every few minutes until I had the water volume needed for the next step. Next time, I'll get things boiling. Now, it's time for Barstool Banter. This episode, I close out my time with Dan and Jen Hain from Fetch Brewing. As I edited the interview, I forgot just how much fun and laughter we had during our conversation. Listen in as we talk about the unique brewing system they have, the challenges they have faced in the industry as husband and wife, and of course, talk about some of their favorite beer styles. So you mentioned that your brewing system, Dan, is in the basement. You said there were some challenges with that. So how large of a brew system do you have, and where did you get that from?
Yeah, that's interesting because I did a lot of research for years beforehand. Since the ceilings are only a little over 8 feet, I couldn't have a regular system, and I couldn't really go with regular fermenters, especially I had to have things that go through doorways, through an elevator shaft. So there's a gentleman out in Colorado. He put out a video years ago, and I still have it. It's basically how to Frankenstein your system. I'm using right now an old dairy tank for my mash tun, which works great, good consistent, great extraction. I mean, I'm still getting in the 70s, sometimes 80s extraction. It's a very simple process. There's no agitators, no rakes in it. And my fermenters are actually white wine fermenters, but they're jacketed. They're not insulated. So they do keep temperature pretty close to what I wish, within a degree or so. But they are jacketed, so I can actually regulate the temperature. And those are pretty light and small, but it's a 5-barrel system. So it's 155 gallons. And that's adequate for Well, in summertime, it gets busy. It'd be nice to have a bigger system in the summertime.
Yeah.
But in the wintertime, it's actually, I do half batches now and play with those flavorings and come up with different experiments and stuff. And that's fun part. That's like right now, it's a lot of fun, an interesting time. But I had to put it together. I had my brew kettle made in Colorado. He was actually a blacksmith and he was making ornamental handrails and chandeliers and stuff. He's been in the industry for a long time doing brewing tanks and stuff. And so I got some recommendations from him and he was a solid builder. And so I talked to him a couple times and I didn't want a 3-barrel because it was too small and 7-barrel was too large. So he made me his first 5. He's never made a 5 before. So I got a 5 from him and been using it ever since. A direct fired, pretty solid little system. Like I said, no rakes in that either. And everything's clamp and unclamp hose with just a transfer pump. It's easy. Nothing's hard, solid piped. Everything's disconnect. I can clean everything really easily and fix anything that needs to be fixed. Everything has its own isolated system. So it's pretty simple. I like it a lot.
Okay. Well, I think that makes a lot of sense also to have the quick clamps as well. I think that makes you a lot more agile too with your transfer back and forth to your tanks
Yeah.
and then if you have to expand or do something different, then you don't have to worry about changing out a whole bunch of pipes.
Nope, not at all. Yeah, it's pretty agile system. I can add and move things around pretty easily. So it's I
Okay.
have 6 fermenters, so it has quite a capacity. I have 4 bright tanks in the walk-in cooler to clean things up. I expanded that over COVID. I got a deal on a big cooler out in somebody's farm field and for $100. And
Sold.
it was like a 10 by 23-foot cooler for $100.
Wow.
And I'm like, I got to move on this even for $100. So I cut down the panels by myself, brought them down there, adjusted them, fixed it all up. So it works pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Ingenuity, that's another thing that I think is a good hallmark of the craft brewer. That's cool. I hope at some point to get up that way and be able to drop in and check out your system. I can kind of picture it in my head, but I'm sure it looks a lot cooler in person.
We give tours, definitely. I'd love to give you a tour. Yeah, that'd be
Awesome.
fun.
Along the same lines, so how long have you been brewing?
I started home brewing back in '94, making a lot of good beer, a lot of bad beer, seeing what was going to stick. My friends drink a lot of beer. I think at our house that we lived in, I think I had to have like 6 or 8 corny kegs in the chest freezer. People would come up and bring their growlers and fill those things up. So that was fun. Dinked around a lot. Back then, there wasn't a lot of homebrew clubs, so I didn't have anybody to bounce anything off of. And of course, that's when the internet hit. Yay. So there's some recipes online, possibly at that point. Cat's Meow was the first one. Wow, that I remember. That was an old one. It's not existent anymore. And then, I met her 16, 18 years ago now. I think it is.
Yeah,
Ish.
2006.
Yeah.
Something like
Okay.
that.
So I dabbled in it for quite a long time. And I mean, there'd be a year or so that I wouldn't, but always picked it up, collecting bottles. And oh my gosh, just a mess. Like the old carboys. And I finally got to where I just did plastic pails, which I'm still comfortable with using. I know a lot of people don't like them for scratches and stuff, but as long as you sanitize and clean well, I've never had any issues. So it works really well. I'd rather have those than a glass breaking carboy someplace. Those aren't fun. Professionally brewing, yeah. Because we started, I think, brewing like a year before we even opened because we wanted to nail recipes down. So, so probably 11 years now professionally.
Very cool. So, wow, 30 years in total. That's a long time. That's a lot of batches of beer to be playing around with. So that's cool.
It is. It's been fun. I like the chemistry part of it and the intricacies, the details.
One of the other things that I find unique, and you mentioned it as well, Jen, was that you're husband and wife team there and co-owners of the brewery. That's one of the things in the industry that I think we're still a little bit behind as far as diversity goes. And I know that less than 25% of owners in the craft breweries are partially or wholly female owned. So have you found there to be roadblocks and challenges in the industry being a husband and wife team? Because like you said, it tended to be just basically guys getting together in the garage, starting up a business, whatever. What has your experience been?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
As far as being a husband and wife team, I haven't had any problems with that because Dan's always treated me as an equal and that's never been an issue. As far as the perception goes, I mean, definitely, if I'm at a beer fest or something and Dan's it's not his turn to pour and I'm pouring with another friend who's a guy, then people always ask the man the question. And they don't know, but I do. And so that's always been interesting. That's gotten better over the years for sure. We also had, until just about probably 6-8 months ago, we had a female assistant brewer for about 9 years. And she experienced the same thing.
It was bad.
Yeah, she was overlooked a lot, which is unfortunate. But as far as like the industry goes, it's really been a fun process, because if we go to the Michigan Brewers Guild events over the years, I am now, I've been accepted, which is kind of sad to say it like that, because it means you weren't accepted at the beginning. But I think that I was held at arm's length. And I think that back when we first started, being by Dan's side lended me credibility, but now I can stand on my own credibility in their eyes. So that's nice. I get approached a lot by other men in the industry, and I'm kind of like
not that way.
No, not that way.
No, I'm just saying it's funny how that, because it's such a male dominated industry.
It is. But now that I've been around for so long, people come up and they're like, want advice on like kids or
I know it's funny.
Situations.
They go, I would never bring my wife here.
I hear that a lot. Like,
and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I love hanging out.
Yeah. I could never have my wife around this. And I'm like, okay. It is interesting. I've had a number of times at the brewery with out-of-town patrons, because everybody in town knows who we are. I've had people want to talk to the owner, and when they see that that's me, they're surprised. Or if they realize that it's a co-owner situation, they'll want to talk to Dan. And that's usually things like solicitors, like insurance or that kind of stuff.
That's not my thing. That's how we divide and conquer.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's funny, because if I am dismissed by somebody who's wanting to sell their goods or offer their product, if I'm immediately dismissed and they want to go bypass me and go to Dan, they've already lost their business.
Yeah,
right.
There's plenty of other opportunities out there to find what we need.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the time when the world catches up to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is improving, because I've seen that over the course of the last 8 years since I've been really into the craft scene. Even in the last 2 or 3 years, have seen a massive change in that. It's slow going, but there is still change and advancements happening. I think the other thing about that too is that by limiting the people involved at the top or even in the brewing side of things, you're really kind of backing yourself into a corner creatively, because there are so many people that have such great ideas that are out of the box. Like, I've never brewed professionally or really have had any kind of background in that, but I might come up with something crazy flavor-wise that maybe, my grandparents had at the dinner table that I was like, oh, these flavors would go great together. Bringing that to the table and really stretching and advancing the craft industry.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of amazing women in the craft industry, just in Michigan alone, like some amazing brewers, brewery owners. They're a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the Michigan Brewers Guild. So I know that there are 5 festivals throughout the year, and we've been toying with the idea of trying to make it to all 5 within a calendar year. But boy, that's a lot of distance to travel.
Yeah, it is.
So do you go to all 5 of them then?
No.
Okay.
We do not do the Detroit one, and we do not do the summer one. And it's just, it's not our market. It's more for the South. We love the Winter Beer Fest. Yep, Grand Rapids. That one's always been a favorite of ours until we discovered the Fall Fest up in Marquette. And that's, oh my gosh, we love that.
That's it.
We have no right being there. It is not our market, but that is our guilty little, getaway. And we get a huge Verbo and we invite all of our friends. It's fantastic.
It's right around the corner from Black Rocks Brewing Company. It's a beautiful town.
It sure is.
It's so chill there. It's so cool.
Oh, so yeah, we look forward to that one every year now. It seems to be getting bigger and bigger.
It's a haul up there.
It is. It is.
It's an awful drive, but it's well worth it. It really is. It's
absolutely
great.
Another festival that I used to attend regularly was the Burning Foot Beer Fest, and that's actually where I first had Fetch Beer.
Yeah, we represent pretty well there. That's a great festival. That's really great. That's a very unique one.
Do you have any like new and exciting beer releases coming up this spring?
We got April sours coming out in end of April. That's always fun to get to play with some different sours. We'll probably have 4 or 5 different kind of sours because lots of times we don't have a lot of sours on tap. It's a very small market segment that enjoys sours.
Yeah.
So, and there's such a wide variety of sours too. But so we have that one coming out. Just a whole bunch of different IPAs, which I'm a fan of.
We have our stable, so we have 15 taps, and usually like 2 of them are designated to hard ciders, and the other 13 rotate. But I use the word rotate with a grain of salt because he's really good at what he does. What's happened is now there's like 5 or 6 staple beers that, that people keep demanding over and over. And they have to be up. Yeah, it's super nice, but they have to be up on the board or we hear about it. We even got a ransom note in the mail with, with like cut out magazine letters that said tree stump or ounce to our home address.
Yeah, we're like, what is this?
Yeah. Now we have it framed up on our shelf in the tap room.
Now he's a good friend.
He is. So, between the 2 ciders are like 5 or 6 staples. There's not as much room to rotate out other things, but he still does it.
I really like, different beers. It's nice to have some good solid beers on tap, but it's like, you need to change things. You need to like come up with different things, and it's endless, just endless.
I know there's been several times where he's like, oh, I got to make this one again. I got to make this one again.
Yeah.
He might have some creative juices flowing, but he's got to put the brakes on it because one of our staples is getting low.
Do you ever find it getting grindy, or do you still enjoy it even after having the core beers that you always have to have? Confession time, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
I get jaded sometimes. I do. I feel that way, but
it depends on the day.
I still enjoy brewing. I really do. I love going down in the basement. It's quiet. It's just me. Put my headphones on, listen to stuff.
That's one of the things that the other brewery owners talk to us about frequently is that Dan is one of the few brewery owners who still brews. Typically in the industry, you're the owner brewer, and then all of your responsibilities as an owner, the things that have to get done, overshadow the brewing, and they have to step away and pass the torch to somebody else. He has a lot of people say to him that had to pass that torch that they're so envious of his situation that he still gets to brew. And that's why we did this. And I know people have asked like, well, when are you going to step aside and all that stuff? Well, we got into this because he loves to brew and he's good at what he does. And so I don't see that changing anytime soon. So yeah, it's always interesting perspective when and if he is jaded in those moments to hear that from other people who are envious of his situation.
Right.
It really puts it into perspective.
I know you both enjoy beer, otherwise you wouldn't be doing. You both have a favorite style then?
He does.
I'm IPA.
All the way.
I am.
Yeah, he's IPA.
I mean, are you like
all the way?
Like American, New England, Imperial? I mean, or just IPA?
No, I'm not a big New England fan. I like the juicies sometimes. Playing with the different hop, those are fun. I like a great pale ale, which isn't sexy. They don't sell they sell, but not great. But I really like them because a little bit lower in alcohol, have a little malt background to them, and they still have the hops to them. They still got that all the flavor there. And it's just, pale ale IPAs are, it's hard to like not drink a nice, two-hearted ale.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it's our go-to.
It's a good beer.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I would like to have a good, fresh example of like maybe the Heady Topper out east or even because every time we get something, it's always, you can tell it's a little stale. Or a Pliny would be nice. A nice, fresh example of Pliny.
Yeah.
When we get it over here, it's
right.
a little old.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I got you a bottle. And I'm like, hey, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate it. Anything that's given to me, or if I can acquire it. But it's always something you want that you can't get. In this area, everybody wanted zombie dust and stuff from Three Floyds, and they didn't distribute in Michigan until maybe a year ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's everywhere, and it's still a solid beer. It's still good.
So, Jen, how about you?
I am a mood-based beer drinker.
If I have to say, maybe stout. So
stouts, typically stouts, just because it's kind of like the equivalent to a comfort food.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Comfort beer. But yeah, I mean, I love IPAs. I don't have much of a taste for sours. I'm kind of all over the place. I am not big on the fruity beers or the sours. I love a good stout. I love a good IPA. But yeah, a lot of it is really just based on my mood.
It is.
And sometimes I'll have that first one and I'll be like, yeah, no, that's not the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
So I will go completely opposite.
I mean, I think right now you're drinking Shorts.
Yep, the Shorts Mule, the ginger lime.
Ginger lime. Such a good beer.
Shorts, yeah, I'm on that kick right now. So I'm like alternating between that and the breakfast stout.
You still buy some beer for sure. I mean, you get tired drinking your own stuff and see what's out there. It's fun.
Yeah. Why not? Why not see what other people are doing? As we wrap up here, I have one last fun question for you both. Jen, we'll go first with you. If you were a beer, what style would you be and why?
I would be a stout. Actually, I would be our tree stump stout, which is a coffee stout, because I am stout. And I run on caffeine because, we have the business and 3 kids. And the tree stump, I don't know, it makes me think of the giving tree. And I kind of feel that way right now.
Okay. Is that what you were drinking in your mug?
No, that's just straight up coffee. A little too early.
All right, like that. Dan, how about you?
I would like to say sour. As I get older, I'm like getting more, I guess, crankier, I guess. So a nice sour, like, what the hell was that?
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Man, shows it close. Yeah. Honestly, nice middle of the road, like our Angry Sky. It's our Midwest IPA. Nice balance between malt and hops. Yeah, no funny story behind that. Yeah, that's my baby. I love that beer, and
it's well liked, just like you.
Yeah, it is, because there's nothing overpowering about it. It's just like everything just goes through life, and it's so good. It's like just socially acceptable. There
you go. Excellent. I like that. So I really appreciate the both of you joining me on the podcast. It's been great talking to you, getting to know you, getting a little bit more knowledge on the Fetch story. I look forward to at some point coming up there to Whitehall and visiting the bank and having a pint with you guys. I wish you a great rest of your winter, and as you head into the summer months, a lot of good beer flowing.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
Last call.
It's nearly time to wrap things up, but first, 2 more for the road. This episode, I'm drinking 2 beers. Panic Attack Pale Ale and Distracted Dank Pale Ale, both from Fetch Brewing in Whitehall, Michigan. Without further delay, So Distracted is a 5.3% ABV American Pale Ale, and Panic Attack is a 6% ABV American Pale Ale. Thanks to my brother for hooking me up with some Fetch beer. Alright, so I poured these both out into pint glasses. Distracted I poured into a Grand Armory Brewing pint glass, and Panic Attack I poured out into an Unruly Brewing pint glass. Distracted pours kind of a nice light caramel color. Super clean, super clear. Has just a slight fine white head on the top. On the nose, getting just a little bit of malt character there. I'm going to go ahead and take a first sip impression. So this Distracted has a lot of great hop character. It has a nice malty backbone, getting some notes of caramel. It's 6%. This is a very sessionable American Pale Ale. And I'd say it's very classic, brewed according to the style that it's declared. Again, it's such a super clean beer. Maybe a little bit of floral esters on the nose as well. But boy, as soon as you take that first sip, you get that nice hop bitterness that just lingers there in the palate and just sticks around for a little while. It's very nice. I want to move on to the Panic Attack. So Panic Attack is a very light straw color. Again, very clean, very clear beer. Again, another slight white foam head on it. So this particular pale ale has a little bit more fruit-forward aroma on the nose. I really like it. It's a little bit citrusy, maybe. Reminds me a little bit maybe of orange blossom. I'm already intrigued. First sip impression of Panic Attack. I like this one as well. So this one leans maybe more, for me, a little bit more towards maybe a IPA, a little bit more of a hoppy pale ale of sorts. Maybe even a little bit pushing the envelope of maybe a West Coast kind of pale ale. Wow, I really like this one too. Same sort of thing. It's got a nice hop character to it. Not overly so. And then it has a nice bitterness that doesn't linger maybe as long as the Distracted does, but it still is right there on the palate. So this is not my first go-around with Fetch. I've had their beer at Burning Foot Beer Fest. I've also had their beer prior from crawlers that my brother has brought home. Dan does a fantastic job. I just really like the care with which Dan crafts his beer. Honestly, either one of these beers, there's nothing flashy. There's nothing like over the top. They are just super solid American pale ales. Slightly different. It's fascinating seeing these side by side. I'd be curious as to know what kind of malt were used in both of these. But honestly, these are a couple of beers that I could see crushing on in the backyard or even in the fall. Just enjoying some good company, some community, and just some great beer. So I give both of these 3.5 tasters out of 5 on the Flightboard. Cheers, Fetch Brewing, and thanks again to Dan and Jen for joining me on the podcast. If you've got a beer you'd like me to drink and describe, leave a comment below. If you're a brewer and have one in mind, direct message me on Instagram and let's see what we can do. And as an aside, a little bit earlier this month, North Grove Brewing over in Montague, Michigan, had a fire that was very devastating and has basically closed their business down. They're right across the bridge from Fetch and some other businesses there. So keep an eye out on my social media. I'm going to share some links and some opportunities to be able to support this brewery that has lost everything. At the moment, I know that Unruly, who I'm representing here with one of their pint glasses, and even Fetch, they're both already pitching in to try to help out North Grove with recovering and moving forward here. The craft industry, it is a very tight-knit community, and it's just great to see the community coming together and trying to help out their fellow brewer. That's all for this episode of the 5 Beer Plan. With so many podcasts out there, thanks for choosing to listen to mine. Join me next time as I continue my latest homebrew adventure, get the skinny on another hop variety, and welcome a very special guest for a brand new segment. Remember to hit the subscribe button to be notified of new episodes. I'd love to hear from you, so please follow me on Instagram, 5beerplan 2022, and leave a comment to let me know what your favorite THC or CBD infused beer is. Be sure to support your local breweries, choose your beers wisely, and drink them responsibly. Until next time, keep walking your ale trail, and stay thirsty, my friend.